Life is suffering. That's clear. There is no more basic, irrefutable truth. It's basically what God tells Adam and Eve before he kicks them out of paradise. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Hands down, one of the best chapters you'll read in this book. I'll tell you what, you can, and probably should, pick up this book and dive straight into this chapter. It doesn't matter if you haven't read the others, and you wouldn't lose continuity or anything like that. Now, why? Why should you read this chapter? Because beyond historical facts, it makes you think. It makes you bloody think, I tell you. Truly a scintillating conversation. Pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. Pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. So that tells you a little about what this might be about. Basically, impulses, giving into short-term benefits versus playing the long game, and so on, that kind of stuff. So why not give into every small impulse that you have? If you think about it, life in general is unfair for the most of it. Unfair in terms of how money is distributed, unfair in terms of how most resources are distributed, so on. You get the point. If you've sat down to ever think about it, it is indeed unfair. Now, because of the fundamentals of how life is designed, given everything that we've spoken about and everything that I've said thus far, why not seek that pleasure immediately? And because it is unfair, you can be selfishly seeking it as well. That seems about right. Well, it just sounds pretty right to me. Bringing us to the concept called delayed gratification. Now, I'm sure you've heard the term delayed gratification from time to time in different contexts. So this chapter talks a lot about it, gives you a slight motivation on why you might want to do it, and so on. There is a nice narrative for you to read if you should choose to anyway, but there are a couple of things worth discussing in the course of this video, and that's what we're going to do. So before we can move forward with this discussion, let's take a few minutes to understand the term delayed gratification. So delayed gratification is basically putting off pleasures or happiness that you may receive from external or internal sources for a better futuristic outcome. So you dance and debate with a futuristic timeline while being ready to sacrifice the here and the now, all because it might lead to more or better pleasures. So that's deep if you really sit and think about it. The chapter covers wonderful concepts regarding this, and let's look at them. Dr. Peterson makes you think about two things in specific. And now that we've spoken a little about delayed gratification, shouldn't you be wondering about what needs to be delayed and at the cost of what? If you are, then that's good. That brings us to question 1. What must be sacrificed? Your sacrifice in some sense is directly proportional to the kind of problems you wish to be solving, or it's directly proportional to what you're trying to achieve. So that's a mandate. Let's say you want to own a Lamborghini. To own a Lamborghini and have a lifestyle that supports it, you would have to grind a few years and give up on all immediate pleasures. Miss out on a few parties or more than a few, but without it, I don't see you owning one. I just don't. Unless you're born Richie Rich, in which case this does not apply. Anyway, in all other circumstances, sacrifices must be made. Bringing us to question 2. What would be the largest, most effective, most pleasing of all possible sacrifices? And then, how good might the best possible future be if the most effective sacrifices could be made? Think about that. That's a fair question to ask. In fact, you should be asking them because you're giving up something in the present in pursuit of a futuristic reward. You don't know when you'll get it. You can plan it to the nth degree, but there is no 100% guarantee of that specific outcome. Obviously, I cannot go about reading every minute detail of this chapter because there are many. But this entire narrative boils down to a couple of points. I'm sure they would motivate you to think and further pursue this chapter. Point 1. Pursue what is meaningful and not what is expedient. Meaning, beyond all this external happiness we accrue through life itself, it could be materialistic possessions, whatever, beyond all the fluff, do you possess a meaning for the life you live? It could be your own definition, I don't care. Now that you have one, are you willing to make necessary sacrifices to achieve what you're set out for? That's point 1. Bringing us to point 2, try getting your definition of life in order. Have a meaning. What are you set out to do? Ask yourself that. It's a hard thing to double down on, but having that definition can clear up a lot of things. You aim better, you see better, and you'll know the sacrifices that are required. A very deep concept, but I sure enjoy taking a point or two away from all this. Bringing us to point 3. Sometimes gratification should be delayed for a greater cause. Are you ready to delay gratification and not give in to blindfold impulses? And point 4, is your heart in that sacrifice? I guess if you half-ass it, might as well not do it. Pursue something else which is slightly more meaningful, something that makes you want to sacrifice the present and the now. That's it for this one, folks. Hope you've got a sense of this chapter through this relatively short narrative. This book can get intense at times. All the rules aren't exactly the thing you want to hear or read unless you're on a self-improvement journey. If you are, I'm sure it's worth your time to give this book, and specifically this chapter, a read. Thanks for watching, and until next time.